Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of the ActionCAST. I am Clint Nobles, operational methodologist, and here on the ActionCAST, we give you actionable information that you can take right now and make incredible change and success in your business. Now, joining me today for a huge hot topic is Greg Henderson, our HR human resource expert here with Home Care Ops. We love having you in our community. It's absolutely fantastic. Greg, you are just wonderful at what you do, which is bringing that human element into the human resource. Thanks for coming on and talking with me today about all of this COVID vaccine mandates, all this HR, OSHA, all these words that we thought we might never really have to deal with, right? Thank you for coming on and sharing your expertise.
No, this is great. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Now, in the world of home care, there's a ton of questions, and we at Home Care Ops have been flooded with questions. I know you have too. You and I have talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
This is a huge topic right now. Everybody is worried about everybody's. There's anxiety. There's even some fear spreading out there, right? What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? Oh my gosh, all of these, these apocalyptic terms, mandates, right? Today, as we go through this, and I want everybody to really pay attention because we're going to be covering some really good information here that's going to apply really to all of us, right? No matter the size of your agency, scale of your agency, this is information that we all need to understand. So make sure and stay through the end because we got some really good stuff coming up. Greg, let's go ahead and at the beginning, let's put out our disclaimer. We're not lawyers, right?
That's right.
We're not lawyers. Consult a lawyer, consult your legal department, all of that. Make sure that what you are doing in your business applies both to you locally, federally, all of that stuff. All right, so that's out of the way, right? We can both agree on that. But moving into this, let's talk about—
And we're not doctors either, right?
That's true. That is true. That is true. Let's move into this because we got a big topic here and we need to really dive in. There's a lot of anxiety, as we said, really as a business owner. One of the things that I want business owners to understand, and when I'm talking about master operators, what I've been dealing with on the phone a lot is take a breath, settle down, right?
Yes.
Great advice. What do you have to say to an owner right now that says, oh my gosh, I have all this legal implication. I have all this, oh my Lord, I'm liable for so much. Oh, what am I going to do? Mandates coming down. How am I going to handle this? What is your advice to them for right now getting into this?
Yeah, that's a great advice. That's one thing I was actually going to put out that if you didn't say it was just pause, just hit the pause button because there's not soldiers coming down the street that's going to close your doors tomorrow. There are things that we must do. There are things that we need to be aware of, and there are things that we need to plan for. I think that's a good way of just kind of compartmentalizing exactly what is truth on ground.
When it comes to this element of mandating, for all of those joining us right now, we're talking about all of the upcoming changes and all of these wonderful regulations and new policies and procedures that we're having to get into with COVID-19, vaccinations, and we're talking about it with our HR expert, Greg Henderson of WHIRKS. So Greg, let's get into this 100-employee mandate that everybody is so concerned with, because in all honesty, most of the things that are coming down, 90% of, we should already be doing in our businesses right now. If you look through the list, 90% of them we should already be doing, with the exception of a few positional roles and maybe some training element, right? So let's talk about this one thing that everybody's so worried about: 100 employees. I have 85 caregivers and 15 office staff, right? but only 10 of these people are full-time. Is this going to matter to me at all? Or does it full-time, part-time?
Yeah, so 100 is very clear. It's how many people you pay. So I don't care if they're seasonal workers, part-time workers, salary workers, or you hire your brother for a day. If you pay him a paycheck, he counts as your 100 employees. Now, that is true for all laws. When we talk about DOL laws, that's true for all laws. So this is not something special that it's coming down because now we're doing mandates for vaccines. No, that's true for all employee specific maximum number of laws on the book.
Yeah, and when it does come out, recognize there will be several iterations of this by the time it becomes mandatory. You should have already done, right? So the one come out in June, right? We should have been trained and training our employees and creating all this stuff by the 30th or by within 30 days. So by July, right? We should have done all of this. So now when this new ETS comes out, we need to understand that we need to take a breath even then. Yes. Recognize what is pertinent to me. Am I under this? If I am under this, what do I need to do? And right now, we need to be in true, transparent communication with our employees and with our clients right now. So one of the big things is, well, if I'm having to, if a majority of my caregivers are not vaccinated and they're going to have to be vaccinated. All right. And remember, right now, this only applies to those who are receiving federal money, right? So let's say a majority of your people need to get vaccinated. They're going to be out of work. They're going to have this recovery time. This is going to be so painful. Then we need to create a letter. We need to create communication that goes out to our clients in a reassuring manner. All right. We need to be writing letters. We need to be sending emails, talking with our clients' powers of attorney. We need to figure all this stuff out. And when we talk to them, we need to say, hey, we know a lot of stuff is going around right now. I'm sure you're worried about some of this stuff. We're on top of it. We are, maintaining our role and responsibility. We do want you to know there may be some shifts that due to regulatory elements and COVID preparedness, we will not be able to cover those shifts, right?
Right.
Now, in our agency, one of the things that we did early on is we did no cross shifting. So a care provider who worked in one home did not work in another home, right? If they worked in a community, they didn't work in the homes, right? We already had that established. So if you haven't got something like that established, you need to create a procedure for this so you can contact your clients and say, look, our procedure is going to be this. There may be shifts that we can't cover, and that's fine. We understand that, but you need to have a backup plan. You need to understand there may be shifts that we can't cover due to regulatory requirements. And we will do our best to cover them, but understand our purpose is to keep you safe and our employees safe, right?
Yeah, I love that.
This.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. The idea that we can specialize our employee with this particular area makes a lot of sense to me. So one, they're comfortable, they're consistent, they understand what's coming on, what's going to come. And I think that makes a lot of sense to me on the patient side. The patient knows them and gets to know them, and I don't have a new face to recognize the next week. It's going to be the same person. I love that.
Yeah, and now some agencies might not have the bandwidth or the ability to niche down like that and to bring that in. But the reality is, and this is really the reality, even if your care providers are seeing multiple people, if you're limiting the number of multiple people in some capacity, have a procedure for this, because you need to, and really the end result here, the real principle behind what you're doing is you're establishing control of the flow of choices. So now someone cannot cover a shift. All right. Wonderful. You already have a procedure in place that you have explained to your client. So now you don't look like incompetent. You don't look like you can't cover it. Whether you have been adhering to this policy 100% in the spirit by which it was created, right? You have already explained to them that this is a potential possibility. This is something that can happen. So you've covered your end result here, which is the consistent delivery of service.
And I'll add to that a little bit, Clint. So the COVID-19 written plan, again, on the first bucket, OSHA ETS, they actually ask you, what are you going to do your procedures in the home? What happens if, yes, we do our due diligence, we screen Susie and Bob before we show up to the house and everything's great. We screen our employees before the first shift. We're doing everything we're supposed to do. And we show up, and what happens? We got Uncle Tom sitting on the couch. What happens? Do we go in there? Do we tell him to leave the room? Or if we're in the assisted living place, that one bedroom place is not enough time. So think through that a little bit more on your procedures fact.
I think it would be, and this is something I would recommend, and I know you've talked about this several times. Go to OSHA.gov, get this guideline thing, and start filling it out. Like if you feel like this does not apply to you, you are wrong. Like 100%. Okay. There's a lot of times in life that we tell people they are wrong about something. But if you feel like this does not apply to your business, you are incorrect. If you employ more than yourself, yes, this applies to you. So,
or if you're not taking this serious, you are wrong.
You are wrong, right? So go to OSHA.gov, get this guideline, start this template, and start filling it out for your agency. It will answer a lot of the worries and concerns that you have, because now you have a policy and procedure for it. Now, does this mean, so when we fill something out in a document, Greg, and I love this. So this is a conversation I love to have. When we fill something out in a document and it is written down, basically, we tend to feel like, and have you seen this, that those were written in stone on Mount, Ararat by the finger of God, and this is what now we have to do forever? Or are these moldable? Can we adapt these along the way? So if I go in and fill this out and I don't know all the, technical terms, and I say, well, when they go in, they need to take their temperature, they need to make sure they have a mask on, and it's not written all this, and then something else comes out and I'm like, ooh, I like how this is. Can we adapt these procedures?
Absolutely. 100%. This is going to be a living document. It's like an employee handbook. And so it's guided from the top.
Whoa, you mean you can update your employee handbook? You mean, whoa, what?
Yes. Yeah, please do, right? Please do, as needed, right? It's always tell people. Okay, so your OSHA ETS written COVID-19 plan is 100% moldable. This is a guidance that I always tell my clients. It is top-down guidance, bottom-up refinement. So yes, from the top, I'm going to put this plan out, but I still need people on the ground who are actually doing the doggone thing to make sure that operationally it makes sense on the document.
All right, so let's go to the next bucket now. So Greg, take us to our next bucket. What are we talking about here?
So the next bucket that I see it's because it's more solidified in the process is the CMS requirement. It's the Medicaid, Medicare, those particular employees, because you get federal money, well, now there's a federal requirement to be vaccinated. And so I think that's the next bucket that we need to talk about, because that is something that CMS said, hey, we are agreeing to this. We are going to push this forward. We're going to put our final rule, is what they said, in October. We're going to put that out in October. So I think that's the next one we need to start leaning forward a little bit and understanding the ramifications and understanding the kind of the job and cost analysis in that process.
Yeah. So as an owner, what do we need to be leaning into here? So as an owner of an agency, what do we need to be leaning into?
Yeah.
Because October obviously isn't months and months and months away. It's coming. Now we'll have a grace period to get all this stuff, embodied and figured out and learn.
Right.
But what as an owner do we need to start doing right now with our teams and with our businesses to be prepared for this move?
So there's a couple of things that I would do as an owner. I would start, hopefully you've already began this process. I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you've got to keep a track of who's vaccinated and who's not. And it's not against HIPAA. It's not medical information. It's not an ADA, breaking the law if you ask somebody if they've been vaccinated. That's not anything that you have to worry about. So as an owner, you 100% should ask your employees, especially if you're getting federal money, hey, are you vaccinated? Yes or no? And then keep track and tallies of that. Again, CMS is they're going to give you some grace periods, right? So if you're getting the 2 shots plus booster now, what does that look like? Does everyone have to have a booster to be fully vaccinated? Those are the questions that we're still waiting to get answered. And if you're, are we having an opting out? I think that's important information too, because even OSHA ETS back in the first bucket didn't mandate vaccines for our people going into patients' homes. They have the ability to opt out or to wear masks or weekly testing as some of the guidance and advice from OSHA. So I'm interested to see if the CMS kind of falls into that same thought process and see if there's any kind of opting out. If there's not opting out and it's a hey, because you're federally getting money, I can, again, that ball that you want to play at my ball field costs money. And that is, hey, show me your vaccination status and show me a plan of action if you're not vaccinated, when you're going to be. I think that's probably what we see. And so as an owner, lean forward a little bit, trying to get your employees to understand how many is not willing to get vaccinated. Just talk with them, ask them a question. Is there an education thing? Do they think, there's something in the vaccine that's going to harm them? Just kind of fill them out a little bit. And then also understand there are two mandatory by law exemptions that people can apply for if they don't want to get vaccinated. One is the religious exemption, and the second one is the ADA exemption, Americans with Disabilities Act. Hey, I need a physician's signature or statement on this form that says, hey, I'm not getting vaccinated because I have this condition or this prognosis or this diagnosis, and so it would harm me if I got vaccinated. If you have that, you can't fire your employee because they have a lawfully medical exemption from getting vaccinated.
So let's walk through this process. We need to find out if our employees are for, against, what is going on here. Say we haven't been logging who is vaccinated and isn't. How do we start this process and reach out to our people and say, hey, we need to have this conversation about vaccination? Right. So how do we do this where it's not coming to the principal's office?
Sure. I think the size of the company plays into this methodology a lot. If I have a large organization, multiple branches, I'm going to do a real quick survey. And, I wouldn't even say anonymous. I just want a survey to fill you out. 2, 3, 4 questions, yes or no, very, very standard, very simple, something I can get some analytics back pretty quickly to see exactly, okay, at some point, I have to assume to continue the planning guidance and the strategy. But at some point, I need to stop assuming and actually get some raw data and hard data. And so start with that. If you have a smaller organization, 10, 15 caregivers that are going into the homes, you're probably already got that pretty good pulse on that, because you've already had patients requesting only vaccinated caregivers come into my house. So I would say that's probably where you're at. You probably already know. If you don't, I would do the survey. If you're not a large organization and you haven't kept track of your vaccinated employees and you're getting that CMS dollars, I would have your first line leader talk with those people and actually just do a set, side by side, a desk side, kind of just talk, a conversation and saying, hey, this is coming down. this is what our plan of action is for this. The first step is we need to figure out if you're vaccinated or not. And then again, hopefully you'll have a plan of action after that. You know, make sure that you're transparent. I can't stress that enough. Transparency is great, because if I, as the employee, don't know what's going on, I start making stuff up. And that's sometimes a lot worse than the truth if I actually just told them what's going on.
That means private pay, right? Long-term care, insurance. If you are only funded by those sources or non-federal sources, then you are not under these mandates that are coming down right now, right? Okay, so obviously we're talking about theoretical elements here, right? So as of right now, you are not being forced to do anything. Go to OSHA.gov, look at the flow chart, look at the decision trees, all that stuff is there. You'll find out what you're under for a lot of the mechanic stuff. And then when it comes to the regulatory element, the mandate element, that applies to a lot of federally funded programs. All right. So understand that as a business owner. There's one thing that, this is a principle I teach, and there's one element, or there's one thing that you never want your business to do. You never want your business to evolve. All right. Because that's based on chance, right? The premise of evolution is that it is chaos and chance, right? Those are two building blocks you never want in your business. Chaos and chance never needs to be the determining factors for anything. What we want to do is we want to adapt, and we want to do that based on our end result, skill, and known variables. So once we understand this, that we want to leave evolution to those things willing to become extinct, right? We need.
That's great.
Thank you. We need to adapt our business, and there will be adaptation within your business at all levels. So with this, we should have been adapting all along the way. And if we have been adapting all along the way, these next steps will not be that great.
Right.
And even if we have not been adapting all along the way, and now we have this massive gap between where we should be and where we are, build steps. Take the steps at a time. Right? One step at a time. Don't look at this massive gap. Go, okay, I need to be here. Now I need to be here. Now I need to be here. And do that incrementally. Get it in your business. Greg, as we kind of wrap all of this up, and you've done so good at talking about all three of these buckets. Like, I love this. And hopefully as more of this comes down, we definitely get you back on here and kind of hash this out a lot more. So to tie this up in a bow, number one, the current ETS, we should already be having in practice from OSHA. We should already be doing this, right? What is coming out is not a new 9,000 page report on what we should be doing. No. It is an emergency temporary element. All right.
Right.
This is just something that's being added to, kind of like an amendment. So we should already be observing the guidelines that were put out for the home health industry. Okay.
Yes.
We don't know when the next ETS will come out. Have no idea, but we know what is existing right now. Let's follow that. The next element is understanding that if you are federally funded, there are guidelines that you currently need to be observing. All right. What comes down the road will come down the road. We can lean into that, like you said, by being transparent, having that open communication and saying, hey, where are you at right now? What is your feeling on this? We need to know for coming down the road, because, and I love how you said this, because we want to help you as much as possible. And if we know how you think right now, when these rulings come down, we can help you navigate this. We can help you do this. I love that. And then lastly, the 100 employee mandate and all this vaccination mandates, none of that is in existence right now. Recognize the end of the story, the end of the day, we need to get all the information we can, not fall to the fear or the anxiety or the worry. Take a breath and adapt our businesses like the incredible owners we are, because we are incredible owners. We have created incredible things with our businesses. We are building incredible lives, right? What comes down the road is just another stair step. And how we adapt to that and how we grow in that is determined entirely by how solid our foundation is with our teams and with our people.
Right.
Greg, thank you so much for being on today. You have been tremendous as always. Thank you for your insights. Now, how can we get a hold of you for more information? If we have questions galore, where can we get a hold of you? How can we get more Greg?
Yeah, so WHIRKS.com is our website. So just jump on that and then you'll see all of everything that you need to know. We have free resources. We have places to get in touch if you want to learn more about how to become a part of WHIRKS, if you want to do that. And so that's my easiest place to direct you is probably that website.
And on LinkedIn, you have a video series on LinkedIn that is fantastic. Y'all have such great free resources and information just spilling out. So if you're not connected to them on LinkedIn, make sure to go check them out on LinkedIn. I appreciate you, Greg. Thank you so much for being on. And remember, everybody, take a breath, be calm, understand what's coming, and most importantly, keep taking action, everybody.